Previously on PolyArmoury.
You were on the back of a beautiful cart being pulled by a couple of quite beefy-looking piggies.
Oink oink.
As you make your way to Tour Town, you see many weary travellers on the road. It looks like there are many more refugees heading from the south, fleeing towards Groivon. Just on the outskirts of Tour Town, you see a large camp. Hundreds of tents have been pitched to house the refugees. You see a few of the tents sort of nearer the cave wall look much more big and grand. Obviously people who are well connected and perhaps better organised or had more in the first place are making the most of that. Clearly some inequality in the size of the tents at least. Who knows what else is going on.
Madame Valerie is hella pissed.
You eventually come to the town proper. It's more densely populated than Moortown. Tall housing structures reach high up to the ceiling of this cavern. There's many general stores selling cheap goods. There's a 9 copper shop, 1 silver land. There's plenty of places to bet on any type of fighting you want. All this is interspersed with newer shops, like there's a Daru's, a Cartone warehouse, there's an elf food shop. At last you come to the local PolyArmoury.
Oh, you must be Vendy's lot.
Yeah, that's us.
That is us.
I hope the road wasn't too congested with all these refugees. The person you need to see is called Revo. Over in that camp, you probably passed it on the way into town. I believe it's some kind of whorehouse called Succubi.
I would like to have my pseudo-dragon hold on to the 2 bags of gold, and then I'm going to temporarily dismiss my pseudo-dragon.
A sort of middle-aged drow woman in quite tattered clothes comes hastily walking towards you. Excuse me, have you seen my daughter? She's lost.
How can we help? We may not have seen your daughter yet, but if you can give us a brief description where you last saw her, we might be able to help you out.
Please, my daughter, she's Patu. She was walking to get water for our family, and she has never come back. We were over at the refugee camp, and no one has seen her. You will know her. She has beautiful, unique red eyes and a cross-shaped scar on her cheek. On one side, nearest the cavern wall, you see what looks like building work. Somebody is putting up an actual stone structure. Against it is one of the larger tents. Strung across the front of the tent is a bit of bunting, which states cheap girls available, and pronounces the name of this establishment, Succubi. They give you a leering grin and a knowing wink to Thrall, pull back the tent flap, and gesture you in. There is a smell of sweat, sex, stale booze, and tobacco. You are greeted by a sleazy-looking goblin in a suit. He has an attempt at a moustache. It's quite thin and wispy. He grins at you in a way that makes you incredibly uncomfortable. Winks at Thrall and says,
"Oh, hello, sir. Yes, hello. Brought us a girl, have you? How much do you want for her, then?" This way, darling."
He pulls out what is very familiar to you as a hammer you've seen previously.
I take out the hash stone, I hold it up against the hammer.
It glows and vibrates exactly as you have been told that it would in the presence of the true hammer.
"Oh, sir, yes, I'm guessing you're in charge here. Please do come in, yes. Oh, I see you have the gold. Yes, your assistant here. Lovely, isn't she? I'm sure she's very helpful to you on the road. Oink."
I just look at him, and all that's going through Brilmara's head is, do the deal, then kick his fucking ass. I shake on the deal.
Make a strength check to crush his hand.
It's warm and clammy.
Well, I suppose while you're here, you wouldn't be interested in selling this lively one, would you? We could always do with a few more girls around here.
Any chance you've got a red-eyed drow, possibly cross-shaped scar?
Sounds like you're looking for someone particular.
Coming into the room are the 2 goblin bouncers. As you turn around to see the guards entering, Revo runs over to a corner of the room and disappears through a trapdoor.
I'm a woman, you cunt, and you're gonna fucking get it in a minute.
Just down a corridor, you see Revo holding a blade at the throat of a young drow girl who looks absolutely petrified, and you notice that she has red eyes and a scar on her left cheek.
Listen here, you slimy fuck. If you do not give her over, you are gonna have a lot of hell to pay. You know how quickly we've just murdered your guards? You really have nowhere to run.
He throws the girl towards you and makes a break through the door that he's just come through and slams it shut behind him. She clings to you, looking scared, and she starts crying. As the bugbear starts to push itself up off the floor, the tent flap flaps back, and there in the doorway, flanked by 2 ogres, is someone you haven't seen in a long time. Standing in the doorway is Scrum, your former employer and owner of the Eager Wench's Brothel.
Fighting death and human horse, Thorson tried to kill them all. They escaped the vile moor. Now PolyArmoury store. PolyArmoury.
That's fucking amazing.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Stone Monkey Radio's roleplay series, PolyArmoury. I am Jane Magnet, and I am the mistress of this dungeon. Joining me today, to be punished until they scream the safe word, which today is Turlingdrome, are Laura Kate Dale.
I fell asleep in my office chair and now I'm a bit sleepy. Let's do a podcast.
Woo! You'll wake up soon enough, I'm sure. And Astrid Johnson.
Minty fresh.
Fresh.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. What's everyone been up to, apart from napping?
Apart from napping in my office chair, been doing some work. I've been I can say this now. I've been playing some Cuphead. That's
You mean Cuphead exists?
apparently so. It's a very, very difficult video game that exists. Also played some FIFA 18 on the Switch, which is like
How desperate were you?
apparently very desperate for games to play on the Switch. So it's like, oh, sure, I'll take that FIFA code, I guess. And I started looking at a game called Golf Story today that appears to be like kind of a mix between Mario Golf on the Game Boy and Undertale.
Okay.
Huh.
It is a weird thing that is on the Switch that I looked at a bit today. It's been a day.
Wouldn't Temmie be the cutest caddy?
Temmie would be a very cute caddy, but instead here you don't have Temmie as a caddy. You have to go out on your big RPG adventure to be the best at golf.
You want to be the very best golfer like no one ever was?
Exactly.
Dum, dum, dum,
Like instead of catching
Potholes is my
Pokemon,
request.
Fill all the holes.
Oh.
I was playing a bit of it this morning, and there was I tried to do my magical super JRPG hero golf swing, and then there was a goose on the golf course. It was a very dramatic experience I went through.
So when you get the ball in the hole, do you do the spinny thing like it when you win a battle in a Final Fantasy game?
That is pretty much it. Is like, oh, the dungeon and boss battle are like your game of golf.
That's fantastic.
It's kind of beautiful.
Okay, I'm definitely curious about this now. And I have been playing things I can't talk about, so
You can soon.
soon. Next week, I believe.
Aren't super secret embargoes always fun?
No,
What could you be playing?
It's a mystery.
it's true. I'm playing the sequel to Undertale. I'm not.
Oh shit! Plot
Astrid.
twist.
Astrid,
Hello.
what are you up to, darling?
Well, I'm talking about socialist memes in the UK newspaper, The Morning Star.
The Morning Star?
The Morning Star.
Is that a newspaper you can roll up and batter your enemies with?
I have tried this. It's unfortunately quite a thin newspaper, so you do need to like add metal spikes to it.
For some reason, in my head, Morning Star sounded like a euphemism for, like, waking up with an erection, and I don't know why it sounded like that in my head.
It probably is.
Is it more of a sort of vagina-centric equivalent? Oh, God,
I've
terrible case of
woken
Morning
up
Star
with-
this morning.
I have woken up with such a Morning Star today.
Goodness gracious.
Well, I'm going to be using that from now on.
Or perhaps a very prepared for the day bottom. Oh, God. Got a real Morning
Hey.
Star going here. It's twitching.
I've also been really bad at designing CVs that aren't too cluttered.
Ooh.
Because I get
doesn't
way
sound like
too
you.
excited about visual design.
Yay! Yes, I saw your last CV. It was quite a thing. It's not
Yeah.
the kind... I mean, as somebody who used to run a shop, I can tell you I've seen a lot of CVs and I've never seen anything like that before.
Well, that's, I suppose that's quite a good thing in some ways.
I'm just very glad you're a journalist and not applying to work for anywhere that I would be hiring. Yeah. Should we do an adventure?
Let's do that. Let's do an adventure thing.
Adventure? Yeah, okay. That's enough of this real life talk. Yeah.
God.
So, as you may or may not recall, at the end of last episode, you were standing, well, some of you were standing in a tent attached to the side of a newly built or partially built building. Madame Valerie, you are standing over a bugbear who is desperately trying to get up after a fit of the giggles. You are flanked by Thrall, your beloved, and Puff, the magic dragon. There is a high girl lying face down on the floor who hasn't even moved despite falling on her face at the beginning. There is a bugbear sitting in the corner who has not moved for about the last hour. Concerning. Brilmara, you are currently in a hallway with who is believed to be the abducted girl Patu, whose mother approached you in the street last episode. And you have Moderatar with you. Finally, after all this time, you have recovered the hammer.
Hooray!
Behind you is a partially open door back to the main tent area where the bar is. To your right is the door to the kitchen. Slightly ahead of you and to the right is the door that Revo ran through after shoving Patu at you. And straight ahead is a door marked stockroom. At the end of last episode, we had the dum-dum-dum moment of Scrum, your former employer and owner of the Eagle Wench's brothel, before Madame Valerie led a glorious revolution and introduced communism to the Underdark. Scrum had entered, or just arrived in the doors to the tent flaps, flanked by 2 ogres. So let us begin there. Ah, Valerie, I thought I taught you better than to rough up my customers. Your disgusting fetishes have no place in a respectable establishment. And he looks from you to Thrall to Puff. I think you and your collection of miniature dragons should leave. I think we'll get going and see what Brilmara's up to as you are out of sight. What's the plan?
I want to go grab the hammer and Patu
Okay.
and follow after the direction that Revo went, just to see if there's any immediate way out that could get us out without having to pass Scrum or anything like that. Just to see where Revo's heading.
Okay, you head through that door, and as you're coming through, you see Revo standing near a section of wall near a plant, and he disappears through an opening, and you see it shut behind him.
So, judging on the positions of where he's gone, he's probably snuck through away into his office.
Yeah, probably back through the secret passage that he escaped through in the last episode.
Okay, can I just do a general investigation check to see if I can notice anything in this hallway, either in terms of how we might have gotten through to the office or just anything else of note in this corridor?
You may always do the roll.
Right, so investigation 16.
That's
Nice.
a very good roll. You see that some of the brickwork near to the plant appears to be slightly different colours. There is a definite edge here. You can tell there is a door in the wall. For 16, I think you'll see that there is a stone nearby which is slightly darker than the stone around it.
Okay, so there's one in particular that is darker than the rest.
Yes, next to the actual door section, there is one stone that is slightly darker than all the others.
Okay,
Slightly.
Okay, so before I do anything else, I want to cast Unseen Servant. I am granted an invisible, shapeless force that can do simple tasks at my command for an hour. I want to give the Unseen Servant a description of Delilah and command them to search around and see if they can find anyone fitting that description.
Okay. Can it get through doors and things? Does it have a body at all?
It is a shapeless force,
Yeah,
so I
that's-
assume if we're not in an airtight place, it can probably get in to have a look nice and slyly.
That's fair. I will allow that. Okay. So you summon and send out the unseen servant with instructions on what Delilah looks like, your friend from Madame Valerie's Working Girls Collective. After a few moments, the unseen servant comes back, and that is from door number 3. What's behind door number 3?
I'm hoping it's Delilah. Let's go through door number 3, please.
Okay, let's have a stealth roll.
Stealth roll. I have pretty good stealth, so fingers crossed. 18!
Okay, you make your way absolutely silently into the room, and you see that there is a punter in here with Delilah. Delilah appears a bit zoned out. She seems pretty out of it.
Okay, I'm gonna sneak up behind the punter with my 18 in stealth.
Yep.
And attempt to hit him round the head with the mace with the intention of either knocking them out or, if worse happens, but the intention's to knock them out.
Have at him.
15.
Nice. Okay, you clock him round the head. The back of his head caves in, and he falls forward onto Delilah.
I want to roll him off of Delilah and try and get her up to her feet if she's able to stand.
Okay, you roll him off of Delilah. She doesn't seem at all bothered by the fact that you just killed someone on her. She doesn't seem to really have any concept of what's going on at the moment. And although she is, as I say, quite out of it, she's still very compliant. So when you start trying to get her up, she does sort of follow that and come with you. But she's really spaced out.
So she's a bit spaced out and needs some leading, but she can, say, stand on her own feet with a little bit of guidance. Okay. For the second, I'm going to get the unseen servant to just sort of help carry her and just not carry her, but just sort of keep her steady and lead her around.
Yeah.
I want to go back out to the hallway where Revo went through the wall. Okay, I'm gonna try two things quickly. If we go back to where we started, you said that there was a door to the stock room?
Yes.
What can I see in the stock room?
So you head back out into the hallway and enter the staff-only stockroom. In here is a number of stacked barrels. There's preserved foodstuffs and so forth. Nothing particularly exciting. Spare glasses. And you notice at the back of the room that the ceiling isn't quite finished. There is a few shelving units, but just over there's some sheeting pulled over. But this building, as I said from the outside, it's not finished. There isn't a second floor in it. But it certainly looks like that is going to be built at some point.
How difficult or easy would it be to try and get the three of us out of the building that way? Would we need to do a particular roll to try and get out that way?
You would have no problem getting out. I think you might struggle to get the girls out on your own.
Right. I'm just thinking there's a couple of ways I can tackle this. I'm gonna get the three of us to stay in the stockroom for the second, sort of hidden away as best we can. I want to put all my vision through Puff, if I can.
Okay, in which case we shall move on to Madame Valerie. You have been asked to leave. Scrum gestures to one of the ogres and says, Otis, help our guest to his feet. And the large ogre heads over and starts lifting the bugbear who is struggling to get to his feet after you whooped his ass.
Yeah, fuck yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I think the most sensible thing to do is not what happened before.
Yes, no genital torture, please.
No genital torture, no CBT.
No.
I made a note, and I forgot to say this before we start, but I made a note that was literally just, Valarie, please don't fucking do CBT. Just no, Valarie, no CBT, please.
Yes, enough of the genital torture.
I can't promise just like straight up no CBT, but in this situation,
but none in the campaign at this moment.
Look,
in
you can do Thrall when you finish this scenario. Okay?
In this specific scenario, there will not be any CBT. Instead, position myself more upright, square my shoulders, look to Thrall and Puff, gesture them to follow me through the door with my head.
Okay.
And stride forwards without making any eye contact with Scrum.
Scrum is walking to the bar as you're departing. The second ogre comes in, and you make your way outside to the main road. Outside where you find your waiting carriage and a sedan chair, which is what you're guessing Scrum arrived in.
As Valarie leaves the tent, she is mindful of when the flaps close and she's out of vision of anyone who might see her, at which point she sort of drops to a knee and starts hyperventilating.
Oh. And Thrall sort of cuddles your head and sort of strokes your hair.
As Thrall does that, Valarie sort of clings.
Oh.
Have we yet reached the point where I am seeing through
Yep,
through Puff?
Yep, you're seeing through Puff, and you find yourself outside.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a couple of things as Puff.
Okay.
First of all, I want to use limited telepathy, and I want to put the idea in the mind of the bartender that at some point before Scrum arrived, all of the working girls who currently aren't visible in the bar room escaped and ran down the road, sort of the direction that Scrum had come from.
Scrum approaches the bar and is about to ask for a drink. The bartender goblin goes really pale and says,
Boss, they've all left. All the girls, they've all gone.
well, this is very disappointing, Jones. I think we're going to have to review your contract here. Otis, Tony, after them. And the ogres depart in a hurry, one running off to the left, one running off to the right, and nearly flattening Madame Valerie and Thrall in their wake, paying no mind.
Ow!
The bar now contains a high girl who is still face down, Scrum, the owner of this venue, bar member, the bugbear that hasn't moved for about an hour. At this moment, Revo enters from the office. But you're not there for that, so who knows what happens at that stage.
Okay, and the only other thing I want to do before handing this over to Valarie is I want to try and contact her with limited telepathy and just say, it's Brilmara. I need you to get round to the back of the building if you can. There should be a spot at the back of the building where there's...
Brilmara?
There's some open roof at the back of the building. I need you to get round there nice and quick.
Okay, yeah, okay. Valarie takes a few sharp, quick breaths and readies herself and starts making her way around to the back of the building with Thrall and Puff.
You head down to the side of the building. There does seem to be a lot of random litter here. Things seem to have just been dumped by the bar. They're obviously not very clean company. But then this is the Underdark, so there aren't really littering laws. You come across a small kobold who's just having a wee by the side of some bins. And you notice, as Brilmara mentioned, there is just some tarpaulin over the top of the building at the back here, where they're obviously building another level on it, but that isn't finished yet.
Right, okay.
Okay, at this point...
Brilmara!
Yeah.
Brilmara?
Puff just sends the message like, yeah, this is the spot. Also, shh.
Brilmara!
Shh. Please be quiet.
Brilmara!
Yes. So I'm gonna pass Valarie the message that's basically just, so we are on the other side of this wall. I'm gonna try and get the girls over. I'm gonna need your help to do that. Like, my vague intention is to try and boost them over the wall and hopefully Valarie can sort of catch them the other end if needed.
Okay. Right.
And how are you trying to do this? Oh,
Plan.
Please go ahead.
I have a plan. Right.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to boost Thrall up onto my shoulders, and I'm going to get Cord and Puff to stand next to me whilst I stand by the gap in the roof, so that when people are passed through the gap in the roof, Thrall will get a hold of them to keep them stable. I will grab a hold of them and put them down onto Puff.
Okay, so you're climbing up onto the wall as well? It's about 12 feet up.
12 feet up, right, okay. In which case, what I do is I boost Thrall up on top of the wall.
Okay.
So that with his mighty strong arms can help people come through the hole in the wall, and I will help them back down on the other side of the wall.
So you lift the boy up onto the top of the wall, and he pulls back the tarp. At the top, it rustles a bit, but it rustles anyway. There is a certain amount of wind that blows through here. Fuck knows how that works in the Underdark.
It just giant Underdark creatures having an occasional fart creates
Convection or
some
something.
wind. Yeah.
Yeah, the heat rises from the lava lakes, and it just creates movement of air. Yeah, so how are you doing this? Are you being stealthy, or...?
I'd say so.
Yeah?
I would attempt to be stealthy in this as best we can, because right now not being noticed is definitely to our benefit.
So you're just going to start trying to shove the girls up the wall?
As best we can, yeah.
Right, okay, let's have a stealth roll then.
18 from me.
Okay,
Nice.
that's a good start from your end. I think we'll also have a wisdom throw, because I imagine this is probably quite stressful for you.
Probably a tad. 10.
Okay,
Ooh.
yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
Just about.
Just about made that one.
Do you want stealth checks from me and the boy as well?
Not just yet, because I think the main noise here is going to be you're trying to get people up a number of shelves,
Yeah, okay.
and the door is sort of just open behind you. So, who are you starting with?
I'm gonna start with Delilah first.
Are you just shoving her up there, or...?
As best I can, and with the help of the unseen servant,
Okay.
I'm gonna try and sort of just get her up high enough that Thrall can help from the top.
Okay, so you start shoving her up the shelves with your 18. That you get her up very, very easily, and the boy takes over, guides and steadies her. Let's have a strength throw from Madame Valerie
Okay.
to catch her.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Thrall carefully moves Delilah over, and she drops square on top of you. And
Oh, shit.
the bins
Oh, no,
clang
can I-
quite heavily.
Oh shit! Can I make a dexterity check to try and fall quietly? Maybe an acrobatics?
Well, one or two of you is going to fall on those bins
Oh no. Okay.
because you
right.
dropped her.
Yeah. Oh shit. Okay.
If you want to make the dexterity throw, I'll let you decide whether it was one or both of you that fell in the bins.
Okay.
If that is something that concerns you.
Okay. I'll give it a go because
Okay.
if one of us falls in, it might make a little bit less noise.
Okay.
Fingers crossed. Oh no!
It's both of you.
You both
I'm
fall
having
into
a
the
bad
bins
day.
in a most graceful manner. You are not gazelle-like. Anyway, so who's next?
Patu up next.
Okay, let's have a stealth.
14.
Again, you carefully get Patu up there. She's not nearly as... She's a little bit zoned out, but not nearly as zoned out as Delilah is. She understands that this is an escape, and she's very happy about that. So she's able to help herself get up a little bit more.
And she's also a small child, which means she's
not
lighter.
a small child.
Oh. Oh no.
She's a late teenager.
Oh shit.
Also,
She
considering
is the
where
child of a middle-aged woman.
considering
good
that
point.
where we're rescuing her from, I would hope that she's not a small
Oh
child.
god, yeah, no, I don't want to think about that. Let's move on. Move
Let's-
on.
Let's
I
rewind
never put
some
it in-
of that editing audio.
I don't know why I just jumped to that conclusion. I've thought like,
Wow,
Hey,
this place got way seedier than I ever made it.
no. Okay, right, low. So, okay, yes, right.
We've edited around all of this.
Yes, please.
No. Anyway, moving on. Next, we will have a strength from Astrid.
Fingers crossed. A natural 20.
She jumps down into your arms, you catch her and deposit her down, and then you do a little pirouette with her. And she gives you a
Fucking
thumbs
yes. A.
up. Right. So next, we just have to get Brilmara out.
I just have to get up that wall as quietly as I can.
Dexy. Or, I'll tell you what, you can have an acrobatic athletics.
We'll try that on. Do you say athletics?
Climb a wall with proficiency. So yes, athletics.
Okay, 16
Hey.
on athletics.
Nice.
There we go.
Okay, so yeah, you deftly climb the shelving, get to the top, and Thrall is very happy to see you. He leaps down to Valarie, onto her shoulders, and then off onto the floor. How are you going about this? Are you jumping on your own? Are you jumping to Valarie? Or
I'll jump down by myself. I'll probably be fine.
let's have another athletics throw.
20.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Okay, you jump down and you do a little forward roll and spring up into a perfect 10-point landing. So congratulations, you have escaped the seediest brothel in the Underdark.
Now, before we go anywhere, I'm going to peek around the corner to see if anyone's coming around the side of the building because I accidentally, dropped Delilah and myself in a bin.
Okay, so what are you doing? Like sneaking to the end?
Sneaking to the end,
well,
then making a
if
perception
we
check.
want to do that stealthily, we could always send the unseen servant to look around the
Oh,
corner.
yes, that's much more sensible plan. Let's do that.
Okay, can I send the unseen servant around the corner to just
absolutely
be like,
can.
is there anyone currently between where we are and where we want to get to, which is that cart?
Okay, and how does it communicate? I can't remember.
I don't know if it's ever explained how it communicates. My assumption was it has to come back to me to.
I have a way of that we can communicate with it.
Right.
I ruffle around into my pockets
Okay.
and get out 2 coins.
Oh,
I get a
okay.
gold coin and a silver coin.
Oh, okay.
I put them on the floor, and then if something's coming, it picks up the gold coin. If something isn't coming, it picks up the silver coin.
Okay.
Like, I'm sure there are ways to do this. Like when we were trying to identify which numbered room to go into, it can physically interact with things. So just like tap me the number of times for the door or something, you know.
I like to imagine it just sort of pulled you towards that door a little bit.
Yeah, like I feel like there are ways it can be like,
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, press a thumbs up against me to be like, there you go.
It'll poke you in the left eye if everything's okay. It'll poke you in the right eye if everything's not okay.
Well, no, it should be poke you in the right eye if everything's all right.
Right. Ah, of course.
Oh!
There we go. Now I am learning how the unseen servant. That's why it's the unseen servant. Just in the eyes. Ah, I can't see shit. Ah, I'm unseen.
No, everyone else can see the servant. It's just you who gets poked in the eyes and can't see it.
I like to imagine it goes around poking everyone in the eyes. Fuck you, and fuck you in particular.
10 out of 10.
I like this.
10
I
out
like
of
this
10.
new law we've come up with.
So the
I just like to think that the unseen servant is just a mute Malcolm Turnbull from the thick of it. Just like angry at everything, but will get the job done.
So Malcolm the unseen servant goes to the
Malcolm Turnbull, the unseen servant.
Malcolm the unseen servant goes to the end of the alleyway and returns and flips the left coin for you. The silver coin for you.
Huzzah!
All
Okay.
good in the hoodie.
As quickly as possible, we want to try and get everyone into the cart.
To the PolyArmoury mobile.
Da-la-la-la-la.
Okay, so you head back to the PolyArmoury
To the fuck wagon.
to your shaggin' wagon.
So,
The shaggin' wagon! There we go.
so
Yes, that was much better.
now there is a legitimate point of how do I put this? Indecision for me, because
Okay.
the smart thing to do is to get the fuck out of here while we can, because we've gotten through this remarkably well.
Mm-hmm.
There is a part of me that just wants to burst through the doors of that tent and go, "Hey, fucker," and like kill Revo and then run. But I know that that's not a smart move.
I have a decision that will entail the best of both worlds.
What is your out of character? I'm saying this is all out of character, so we're not taking
okay.
time in universe. What is your suggestion?
Here's an idea. We piss on Scrum's box. Just cover it in piss.
You're gonna-
Just cover it all
That
in
doesn't
piss.
quite murder Revo the way I was hoping.
It doesn't murder Revo, but it does fuck off one person in this
I-
situation.
I'm gonna say that yes, it would. If we're doing anything other than actively, very swiftly, successfully murdering Revo, I don't think it's worth us risking not just running the fuck away. Because if we run away now, Scrum believes his girls ran off in a certain direction and does not believe that we took them. So what's probably by far the smartest thing to do is, at the very least, we know where to come back to murder fucking Revo later if we want to. We're probably best now getting the girls back where they should be, getting the hammer delivered.
Yeah,
and once
yeah, I
all of that
suppose.
is done, we can just rock up unannounced, murder Revo, and get the fuck out. Because I feel like that has to be, like, we're gonna have to murder Revo. That's a thing that I just, emotionally, I feel I need to do. So,
I also, that's totally respectable, and I am absolutely with you 100% on that situation, but I also maybe think we should take one of our red slime balls and put it on the cart.
You only have one red slime ball.
can you remind me what the red slime ball does?
A blob of basically self-igniting napalm burns for 10 minutes, will do 1d4 fire damage per turn on a person or creature.
I mean,
I think we should set their car on fire.
chair. You could just throw it in there.
Yeah, we could.
I feel like the best thing to do is to just run for now.
Okay, fine.
But
Let's
that
just go.
being said, remember that, because next time we see Revo, we could just throw the red slime ball at Revo and run.
Or what we could do is get him to swallow it.
Oh.
Or you could shove it down his nose. That's...
See, this is the moment where I'm quietly
word.
just like...
insert it into his urethra with a stick.
I was literally just about to say sounding. I'm glad we're on the same page.
I'm now just quietly being like, can Revo just, like, conveniently, like, walk outside as we're leaving? Just into
Well,
perfect
you
murder
could
range.
insert...
I imagine Revo's got a lot to explain right now.
He does.
Yeah.
Let's leave him to be psychologically
Okay.
tortured by the threat of losing work and well-being.
I think for now we go and try and get Patu back to her mother.
Yes, good plan.
Okay, you're taking the cart.
Yep.
You insert the starter into each of the piggies' noses, give it a few spins. The piggies start up. Chug, 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 chug. You don't do any of that. You mount the piggy cart. Who's driving?
If I
I'm
remember
probably
correctly,
driving.
doesn't the boy have a really good animal handling score?
He
Yeah,
does,
but
but he's
he-
very nervous as driver.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
he is, isn't
which
he?
I have
Okay.
a decent animal handling, and I'm not so nervous as driver, so I'll drive.
Good plan.
To the Jaggin Wagon. So you head off. Did you say you're heading to Patty?
Yeah, we'll go drop
Okay.
Patu off first.
You mount up on the Shaggin' Wagon, and remembering the instructions you got from IT, you head around the camp, back towards the furthest outskirts. It's near from where you first came into town. Eventually you do have to dismount as the roads don't go all the way through the camp. You come to IT's tent, where she directed you. She is outside cooking some sort of broth over a small fire. She is absolutely overjoyed to see you. Oh, yes, thank you so much. My Patu, my Patu. And she runs forward. She gives her a massive hug, and she's stroking her hair and just sobbing. She's so happy to see her daughter.
Look, I'm glad we could get your daughter back to you, but I need to be blunt with you. The people that took her, there's every chance they're gonna try and come back for her. As soon as you're both able, you need to get your things together and try and get away from here as best you can. You need to get somewhere that they won't know where to find her.
She looks absolutely terrified at hearing this. She can see that her daughter is a bit spaced out. She doesn't know what to do or how difficult it's going to be to move. She says, What have they done? Who would do
There are
this?
some rather terrible, really terrible people in those big old fancy tents at the back. The ones sort of built into the rock wall, a bit bigger than everyone else's. They're trafficking young girls through who, well, they had no say in what was being done to them, and she's going to need some looking after, I think.
And she clutches Patu even closer. Thank you. You have brought my daughter back to me. I cannot thank you enough. If I had something to give you, alas,
Don't worry
I
about
have
giving us
nothing.
anything. Don't worry. I know you don't have anything to give us, but we wouldn't want it anyway.
I thank you so much. You have done so much for me.
Just-
and we will be sure to leave as soon as we
Just
can.
stay safe, okay?
Thank you so much. You heading off or anything else you want to do?
Where do we have to take the hammer to, Mordritar?
I do believe we should check in at the PolyArmoury branch in Tourtown, where we are at the moment, and let them know that we have it, and they might have further instructions for us.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. You head back to the cart, leap on. Thrall has been looking after Delilah.
Good.
You leap on the cart and hoy off. The wheels spin in the mud, and then you just go zooming off back towards the PolyArmoury. None of that happens. I just like the idea of making this cart way cooler than it is.
That's like
I mean,
make it
we
as
could-
cool as you
I
like.
mean, that could be canon.
On the way back, Thrall is sitting with the Scrytome, playing Pigimon away.
Has he caught any cool new Pigimon?
He has caught a green piggy and a red piggy. So you head back to Turtown proper. You are greeted by the elderly gentleman you've seen running the store.
Oh yes, well done. You've managed to get the hammer. Excellent work. I'm sure head office will be very pleased. So I suppose you'll be heading off now, will you? Or I understand Vendi said you had some things of your own that you needed to get sorted.
Yeah, we've got a couple of bits still to sort somewhere in the area around nearish here, but yeah, where do we need to get the hammer to in the end?
You'll need to go to head office in Groymon.
Perfect, that's where we're going to be heading after we're sorted here, so we can take it right away.
Well, it's been lovely to meet you. Yes, do come back any time if you need anything, or if you happen to be passing through.
Before we leave, now, Jane, we work in an armoury,
We do. I'm
and
glad you've noticed.
in working at this armoury, not once have I considered purchasing a weapon more substantial than a whip.
What kind of weapon are you looking for?
I really fancy a crossbow. I think a crossbow would be super cool.
Crossbow, you say? Are you
Yes.
able to use a crossbow?
I think I'm proficient in all simple weapons, and a light crossbow is a simple weapon.
Well then, I guess I will allow.
I'm very excited. I get to shoot things. That's cool. Fantastic.
Congratulations on your shiny new weapon.
Thank you. I'm very excited to shoot the fuck out some things with this.
Okay, so you take the scrytome back from Thrall, and you notice it is really, really hot. You imagine that if this thing had a power source, it would be absolutely rinsing it.
Thrall.
And
I give a sort of making it too hot. All of those piggies.
Thrall, you admonish the boy, who begins to grovel and cower, and he looks genuinely terrified. And doesn't meet your eye.
Oh, no, boy, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it in a serious way. It was a light-hearted. No. Hug the boy, and I start crying because of just how emotional today has been.
And the boy sort of nuzzles into your arm, and also does a bit of a cry because he was afraid that you were upset with him.
Let's go to this cool.
We don't know where we're going. So now that Thrall is done with the scrytome, can we use it to call the girls and find out where to take Delilah?
You take the scrytome, you go into the book, and you call up Zoris. As you gesture over Zoris's name, the screen goes that familiar cloudy, glowing blue and white, shooting little blue balls, fly off at the bottom of the screen as if going off into the distance. After a little while it clears and you see Zoris, your friend from the Working Girls Collective.
Zoris, hello.
She appears to be brushing her hair and getting ready for something or other and putting on makeup. Hello, how's it going? Is that Delilah?
Yeah, that's Delilah. We got her.
You found her. You bringing her home then?
We are.
If you let us know where to take her, we're on our way.
We're at Castle Twilight. And she gives you instructions to Castle Twilight.
Fantastic. To Castle Twilight it is.
You head off to the indicated location. Way out on the other side of Turtown, there is a large open cavern, and you see, even from quite a distance, a large concentric castle.
Huh.
There, surrounded by a large azure moat, which is underlit in various places by some kind of glowing rock. There is a large concentric castle with these tall walls with crenellated battlements at the top. There is a large drawbridge that is down, and you head towards that. You are gestured in by one of the greeters and pointed in the direction of the stables. They take over the cart and say they will look after the piggies for you.
Oh, good.
You take Delilah with you and head into the castle proper. The inner castle is, as you would expect, the walls are taller than the outside walls, and inside is this incredibly luxurious building. It is actually seems to be a working castle.
Damn.
At the door, the main door to the castle, you're greeted by somebody in a red velvet suit. They have quite short hair, almost a buzz cut at the back and a little bit slightly over one eye at the front.
Nice.
And wearing a little red velvet hat. And they say, "Hello and welcome to Castle Twilight. Have you been here before?"
No, we're new. We're here with Delilah, who we've just recovered.
Delilah, she's back. You with the girls from the Working Girls Collective?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
they've been
that's
looking.
us.
They've been waiting for you to arrive before we go in. And they point to this large bowl of pronoun badges by the door. And they invite you to take pronoun badges to how you would like to be addressed during your time here.
Oh, that's so cool. I take a she/her pronoun badge.
As do I.
And the boy takes a he, him, and a they, them. You are led into the castle proper, in through various areas. There is a large seating area in the middle of the first room you come to. A number of sort of bolsters lined around a large area just covered in blankets and cushions. A large number of people just gathered together, and they appear to be just having a little cuddle puddle together.
Aww.
All nicely dressed. There's not really any nudity in this particular section, but they are just having sort of a nice cuddle together. A few people are smoking various substances. There's drinks and laughter here and there. Just casual chats and just a nice cuddle.
Okay, already this place is fucking amazing.
So as you head further towards the back of the room, there appears to be a large, like a wrestling ring, and there are two quite beefy bugbears, stripped to the waist, oiled heavily, and wrestling with each other. They're clearly doing it more for fun than actual violent sport or competition.
Oh, that's all right, isn't it?
Your head led further through. Eventually you come to a large pair of double doors that seem to have these exquisite curving patterns in gold, with scenes of nature and trees and woods just behind that, and then it's like roots of trees but going up and swirling across the surface of this door. And the greeter sort of holds her fingers to her lips and very quietly opens the door and gestures you inside. Inside there is a large auditorium, a number of sort of quite low-angled seats, all angled around, or pointed towards a single central circular stage. You are sort of quickly hurried into seats just along the aisle, and you start to watch this show. All around you, from people sort of out of their heads, seem to be lifting images as if their very own fantasies are being brought to life in illusory form above them. And then figures from one person's fantasy may dance off and embrace or do something with somebody from another person's fantasy. All of this is happening around the central stage. The performance stage is gesturing with her hands towards each person, and as she, with a little flick of her wrist, a movement of her fingers, these images are literally rising out of the foreheads of the viewers, and they're watching these amazing, beautiful, arousing sexual scenes happening above them before they then disappear off and get involved in some other larger collective.
Can this be the end of our campaign? Can we just stay here?
I'm pretty fucking speechless right now.
Give up on saving the world and everything, and sure, give it 6 months or a year, we might die along with everyone else,
Yeah.
but can this just be like the nice happy ending that our characters get, as we just end up here and we're like, yeah, no, we're good. We're good here.
You stay here for the rest of your lives watching this pornomancer.
Oh my goodness, they're a
eventually-
pornomancer.
Can I just say, why did you not tell us that pornomancer was a class before we started?
She's a filth wizard, just like me.
Giggle, giggle.
She's a filth wizard. Back to the actual plot. If you okay, I will let you. If you want to, that is your choice. I cannot, as DM, take that choice away from you.
No, we'll
So
go
6 months
save.
from
We'll go save the world, because you're about to say that we're all gonna die, aren't you?
maybe,
Okay, can we come back here as our retirement plan?
if you live,
I mean, I'd like to think that we will.
and if Turtown still stands at the end of this, I can sure we can arrange for you to come back and do this some more with all of your wealth and riches.
Excellent.
Should you get any? If you don't spend it all in Darrows. Shall I continue?
Yes.
So this performer on the stage is summoning all these images from people's heads, and she appears to be quite a slight, skinny, very pale skin, almost slightly blue-tinged skin, very, very pale white. Her hair is azure/turquoise, and it falls to sort of just beyond her shoulders, and she has pure black eyes, no iris or pupil. It's all black, and she moves with incredible grace. The moment she is sort of surrounded with this vague green mist, as the performance goes on, each of the images, people's fantasies are rising up from their heads. And then an image rises up from one person's head, and it appears to be just two people just holding hands and looking at each other and smiling. Mm-hmm. Then they start to drift off towards the edges of the room, and there is a bright light that just rises, and out of that comes a beautiful azure sky, a perfect clear summer sky. The sun is up, but the light is not enough to burn your fragile Underdark dweller eyes. It's quite comfortable to look at, but you have that beauty of the scene of a beautiful summer day. It feels warm, and you feel warmth within you, a love of everything. And the floor below you and the scene around you turns into a field of green grass with this figure standing in the middle. And after a few moments, floating at quite high speed from the very furthest ranges are all of these fantasy characters that have been taken from people's heads, and they all come together into a large, just an almost tower of flesh, and they're embracing and kissing and engaging with each other, and it's beautiful and arousing and incredible. And then after a few seconds, everything just fades, and the room is just a room around you. The lights are slightly brighter than you imagined they were when you first walked in, and everybody just stands up and applauds wildly.
I join them.
As do I. Standing ovations all round.
Yeah.
And as you stand, you realise that the woman on stage who's taking bows and so forth, from the waist down, has a crown of 8 cephalopod arms.
Oh.
She is a Cicalia.
Now, Jane,
Yes.
is there any particular reason why she's a Cicalia?
The same reason I'm wearing leggings with tentacles on today. Sorry, cephalopod arms.
Do you perhaps enjoy this particular fantasy race?
I'm a bit of a thing with tentacles. And by tentacles, I mean cephalopod arms. Being scientifically correct.
Giggle, giggle.
But like totally tentacles.
Totes tentacles. So, thank you very much for joining us. Laura, where can we find you?
You can find me pretty much everywhere at Laura K Buzz. Laura K Buzz on Twitter, YouTube, any sort of places like that. You can also find me Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 at kotaku.co.uk.
And Astrid?
If you go to jaffameister.com, you can find all of my content, ranging from communist-themed video game features that are a little bit funny, Indie Haven content, where I talk about indie games and interview various different developers, so on and so forth. And you can also find a lot of my freelance work, most notably freelance content on Waypoint, and now on The Morning Star. You can also find me on Twitter, at Jaffameister. It's all spelt Jaffameister, where I talk about cool and fun things. You can also find me on the Real Heroes podcast with my co-host Elodie Cunningham, where we talk about the real heroes of gaming. Yeah, that's me.
Hurrah! I can be found as @ManiacJaniac on stonemonkeyradio.wordpress.com. I'm also on SoundCloud, where I present this, and we're now on iTunes, I believe. So if you search for Stone Monkey Radio, you will find PolyArmoury and anything else I happen to construct. Additional pylons included. So, thank you very much for joining us. Join us again sometime. Bye.
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 Harumble.
Episode